This past weekend saw the completion of Games Workshops Everchosen Painting competition, or at least its first round at the local level. And since I participated in the event, I figured I should put together a video sharing my experience and thoughts surrounding it. At the time of writing the script, I do have some thoughts about how it was organized. I'm not entirely sure if it's a problem, maybe just a flaw, or maybe I'm just overthinking it. But I'm hoping that, in working through this script, I can formulate those thoughts and ideally end with a satisfying conclusion. So this one will be more of a vlog, where I share my experiences and thoughts with the Everchosen event, and it might pair well with some hobbying of your own. I suppose I should start by explaining my position. And let me be clear, my issue is not related to my placement in not coming first. I actually resigned that idea early on. Quite simply, I'm not a pro painter, and I know as much as I like my work, it isn't in the top bracket. But then I learned that the Everchosen event would be determined using votes. So even if my entry was objectively the best painted, and that's a big if, I was skeptical my entry would get the votes. You see, although I did enter Everchosen at my local Games Workshop, I actually prefer to spend most of my club time at an independent, friendly local game store, for a variety of reasons, which are unrelated to this topic. But how it does relate means that I'm entering a competition determined by votes against participants which the voters likely have an established rapport with. That being what it is, does it mean that there is no point in entering? Actually, quite the opposite, as not participating at all would be the best way to achieve nothing. So I submitted my converted Daemon Prince-ess of Slaanesh, which I made for my current army project. It's a model I'm quite fond of. I really dig the translation of my army's color scheme, which was based off of the Queen of Blades color palette. The conversion itself is subtle, a clawed hand to represent the Malefic Talon, and the addition of some spiky bits to the model and sword to represent the corruption of the Eldari Salvation and the Soul Stealer sword relic respectively. Even with no conversion done, I feel the model makes a great base for a Slaanesh demon, since the Yncarne shares several design cues with demons of Slaanesh. It's a nice touch to the design, which adds some grim darkness, but I digress. I submitted the model for Everchosen, and I actually ended up winning 3rd place in the open category. Yippee! Which I am rather pleased with, and was far better than I expected. My overall experience at the Everchosen event was positive. The participants were, as I always find club members to be, a polite and good-spirited bunch, and the service from the Games Workshop staff was great. But my main takeaway, as often is the case, is the collection of high-quality art pieces that results from these types of competitions. Make no mistake, the amount of time and passion that gets poured into the entries for these events deserves respect, and combined with the caliber of talent in their execution, takes these top-notch sculpts we love from GW and elevates them to something beyond. That sums up my experience with the event. The issue I have with it is in its structure, specifically that it is, in part, a popularity contest. That is not to say that quality has no merit, but when it comes down to it, most people will lean towards who they like more, myself included. And because of that reality, there is a bias against participants who prefer independent clubs, or against those who don't go to any clubs, and are solely into this hobby from the craft and art perspective. And since the Everchosen local level is essentially a gating mechanism, I can't help but wonder if the current paradigm has denied individuals a fair shot at competing at the next tier. It seems to me there probably should be a better way to handle the execution. With regards to brainstorming alternatives, I do think voting is necessary, as there is far too much volume to have a dedicated panel to sift through and judge every entry. And the intent to determine winners at the local level, I believe, is also correct for the same reason. But ideally, I think we'd want to limit the subjective influence that gets through. So here's something. Perhaps the event at the local level needs to be a 2-step process, where participants bring their models to their local games workshop, similar to how it is now. But instead, photos are taken and uploaded to a digital platform of sorts. Then voting takes place the subsequent week, but voters would be making their choices for a different games workshop than their own. This might at least reduce the who you like in biasing the votes being cast. It won't do anything for the what you like bias, since you can't remove preference on subject matter completely, because, well, different individuals have different tastes. But it's just a thought, a hypothetical idea. This was my experience with and my thoughts on the Everchosen event. Thanks for watching. But what do you guys think? If you participated yourself, feel free to leave a comment and let me know your experience with the event. Overall, I had a good time, although it was brief, and I hope this becomes something annual for us hobby enthusiasts. For those who want to help this channel grow, you can use that like button and subscribe for the notifications that come with the release of my weekly videos. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.